I'll tell you what, Paul Giamatti from Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes got the ever living tar slapped out of him. Red One, directed by Jake Kasdan, is another Christmas movie that features ya boy Santa Claus. I was lucky enough to be able to see this movie early thanks to AMC, so thank you, AMC. But what did I feel about it? Well, let's talk about the categories and give her a score. Acting. You got your big trio, your big three. You got J.K. Simmons as Santa Claus. You got Chris Evans as the Wolf. And you got The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, as the Elf. But let's break it down character by character. First, you got Chris Evans, who is your vessel. He is the guy who doesn't know what's going on, but is there so he can experience the things for the first time, just like the audience can experience things for the first time. And he does all right. He's honestly the Chris Evans you would expect to see within a film like this, and it's not Captain America or any of his serious roles. He kind of has this one dimension when it comes to him, when it comes to movies like this, and this film really does show those cracks. And yeah, he's just Chris Evans. Not to say it's bad. He's great. I didn't have any problems with his acting whatsoever because it's just him. It's the same thing about complaining about Ryan Reynolds. It's just Ryan Reynolds. Same thing about Jack Black as being just Jack Black. Sometimes it's not a bad thing as long as the character is not overshadowed by the actor's acting. And I don't see that here. Then you have The Rock, who, well, just like Chris Evans is, well, The Rock. He's the same character in almost every movie, and he's the same character here. I feel like it's a conversation that, like, Dave Bautista's had, basically saying the reason why I'm slimming down or getting fatter is to, have different roles and not have to be the henchman or the big guy at all times. Now, with The Rock being The Rock, he's just going to be chiseled at all times, so he's going to have to be playing in these certain roles. The only difference within his character from other movies that separates it is the fact that he doesn't wear any khaki clothing this movie. So, thumbs up. But then you have J.K. Simmons, who is Santa Claus, and yeah, I wish he was in this movie a lot more because he is absolutely fantastic as the bearded, cookie-eating, milk-drinking son of a gun, Santa Claus. He's definitely probably my favorite rendition of Santa Claus in quite some time. Probably since the OG Santa Claus movie with Tim Allen in it. Now, when it comes to everyone else in the film, it definitely feels like their characters are just parodies of each other. They are very cringy when it comes to the dialogue, and it's just a complete mess when it comes to everyone else besides those three. So with all that being said, I'm just going to keep it simple, and I'm going to get a half a star out of 1 within this category. Visuals. Now this is another mixed bag because at some points you have some brilliant CGI like they did with the polar bear, and at other times the CGI is just awful. It's sometimes quite obvious, it's sometimes quite distracting, and sometimes it's just downright disgusting. Now, the biggest problem with having bad CGI is it puts a magnifying glass, a microscope, on all those points. You notice it more, it distracts you, and pulls you out of the movie. Luckily, the film, though, survives by having this cool aesthetic as well as amazing set design from place to place. This is a film that is a journey film, a film that takes place in multiple locations to track down something. Therefore, they're going to go to these different places, and you have to make them look unique, and you have to make them look appeasing to the audience. And yeah, they do a great job at it. From the North Pole to the other places I will not name, so I don't get into any spoiler territory, it's done really, really well. Also, a lot of the practical effects, as well as a lot of the makeup and prosthetics used for certain things, is absolutely amazing, and I wish they would have stuck with this for a lot of the characters that they were doing, but they didn't. But they did a good job, So with all this mixed baggery that they have going on, I'm just going to give it a half a star out of 1 in this category. Now when it comes to the audio, I'm going to keep it short. I'm going to keep it sweet. The audio does a really good job. It mixes in classic Christmas tunes while accompanying a great score. The score is simple. It's not overpowering, but it does a lot of cool things within it that is needed. Each character has their own kind of theme, and I remember it still hours after seeing the film, and it's very impressive that they were able to pull this off. And they do this all while intertwining Christmas music from the past and the present within this movie, within their music. It's just a good time. There's no real bad sounds that come out of the film. They do a good job at it, so I'm going to give it a full star. So now it comes to the story, and dang, this film starts losing steam when you really look at it. To me, this film has a few problems. I would say 3 huge ones. Number 1 is going to be the fact that it doesn't understand what type of film it wants to be. Whether that's a kids movie centered around Christmas or a teen adult movie centered around Christmas. I'm fine with kids movies having adult themes and not having to step forward with crude language. I know I am sounding like the mom at a church complaining about cursing in kids movies, but I truly think it's unnecessary for what they were trying to do. And that's what the biggest problem is with this first point, is there is no point to this. You can have a criminal in this film that's played by Chris Evans, and he doesn't have to curse, or if he does have to curse, you can move around it, and they did it. That's what makes me more upset, is the fact that they actually did the thing that I was expecting them to do when it comes to crude language. They did it in the film while also cursing in the film. I know I'm sounding like this PC monster who hates cursing, but I think that it has to have a point and it has to be necessary, just like everything within a movie, regardless if it's a Christmas movie about saving Santa Claus who had just gotten kidnapped, or a super serious drama about a marriage, for instance. You need to have a point and you need to have a purpose for every line given, and that's one of my main problems. Number 2 is the plot holes. There's a lot of plot holes within this film. I'm not going to get into them because it's going to spoil it, but just know that this film is not a tight film. There's a lot of things that fall through. There's a lot of things that happen for the sake of happening, and especially knowing that your character Vessel, right, Chris Evans' character, the Wolf, is a character you're supposed to spend time with, considering the fact that he is completely unneeded for a majority of this journey. It's extremely frustrating. And then my third one is broken rules. Now, before I get into it, I would like to establish this. Regardless of the type of film, whether it's a fantasy film or a grounded serious film, sci-fi film, epic, whatever it may be, whatever genre, it needs to do something in order to be believable. What I mean by that, I'm not talking about no one can fly because no one can fly in real life or whatever it may be. But what I'm talking about is that if you set rules within your universe, within your world, you have to abide by them from start to finish, no questions asked. This film has a throwaway line that most people will probably forget by the time the movie ends, and then the movie ends with a great, sweet, heartfelt moment. But my mind went to the line that happened in the beginning of the film, and I went, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. And yeah, because they broke their own rule within their allotted time. So with all that frustrating nonsense that I just spewed out, 0 stars. Doesn't get anything for this. Enjoyment. There are a lot of good things about this film. But there's also a lot of bad things, and the bad things are really bad. It becomes almost frustrating to watch at a certain point. It is an easy watch, I will give it that. It is not a movie in which you'll sit through and be struggling to watch. It will kind of start, get to the middle, and end fairly decently quickly, right? Now, it does have a over 2 hour runtime. It's 2 hours and 3 minutes. So I'll just say 2 hours. But it's unnecessary. It's unwarranted. The film feels more like it could probably fit within an hour and 40 minutes, and a few things could be cut, and it wouldn't really matter. And especially for a film that costed this much, for a film that probably won't do well and will probably bomb, you probably wanted to cut it down, get more screenings within movie theaters, and just call it a day. And one of my bigger overall problems with this film is, in my opinion, if you make a film surrounded by a holiday, right? Halloween, Christmas, those are the big movie ones, right? Summer, right? Whatever. You want to be in the echelon, the top tier of movies that are in people's carousel, they're in their rotation of what am I watching this month, right? For Halloween, I'm going to watch the Halloween movies, I'm watching Halloween Town, I'm watching all these spooky, scary movies, and, then Halloween will happen, and I have this, spooky mindset going into Halloween the day. Same thing goes with Christmas. People are watching Christmas Vacation, they're watching Elf, they're watching Polar Express, they're watching the best Christmas movie of all time, Die Hard. This film should play into that and try to be this film that people will want to watch during the Christmas season, and it misses. Like I said, with its inconsistent tone, its vessel of a character that serves no purpose after basically the first 30 minutes, a horrible script with a lot of plot holes, broken rules, and a lot of threads that just don't make any sense. It's hard to say that I walked out of the film completely enjoying it. Visually, it's somewhat appeasing to look at. The acting isn't horrible for the most part. The good actors do a great job, but the frustrating parts are too frustrating to look over. So that's why I'm going to give it a 0 score when it comes to this category. So, if you're keeping track at home, RedOne gets 2 out of 5 stars. I think this movie is bearable.